All right, I now call the May 19th, 2016 meeting, the Madison County Board of Adjustment to order. Will you call the roll, please?
Jimmy Rogers.
Here.
Howard Bowden.
Here.
Paul Mealy.
Here.
Wayne Pinkowski.
Here.
George Dillon.
Here. First item on the agenda is to go over the minutes from the last meeting. Did everybody have a chance to look at those? I read through them. They're lengthy, but I didn't see anything unusual about them. So no one has any questions or comments. I'll open the floor for a motion on the minutes from the last meeting.
I move we accept the minutes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Howard Bowden.
Yes.
Wayne Pinkowski.
Yes.
Paul Mealy.
Yes.
Jimmy Rogers.
Yes.
George Dillon.
Yes. Gentlemen, we have 3 items on the agenda tonight. I'm going to change the order up on them a little bit from what they were proposed to us. The first one we're going to do is 1410 Poozy Ridge Road for dimensional variance on a garage. Is there a Daniel Rutherford here?
Yeah.
If you want to come forward, please. Just come to the podium over here. They've changed sides on us, and it used to be over here for years and years and years, and now they've moved it since they've.
New regime.
Yeah.
We're gonna see who's paying attention.
Yeah. So, state your name and address, please.
Daniel Preston Rutherford, 1410 Poozy Ridge Road.
All right, Mr. Rutherford, do you agree to give truthful and accurate information as it pertains to this case?
Yes, I do.
All right, continue, please.
What do you just tell us a little bit about what you?
Yeah, what are you proposing to do?
Well, what I want to do is go behind that back driveway that goes around behind the house. It drops off real fast there. That's the reason I want the variance to get it up closer to the road. Because, I mean, it really drops off fast once you get past, I don't know, 60 or 70 feet. But anyway, I want to put a pole barn there on a slab with,
See him right here.
yeah, it'd probably, I'm wanting to put like a three-door garage.
Mm-hmm.
Put my tractor in, put my boat in, jump.
So, I guess one of the first questions I have, it's got the platted building line of 50 foot, so is it a variance from 50 to 35, or is it from 125 to 35?
35.
The variance he's requesting is from Turner Ridge.
Right.
So it's from the 50-foot building line down to 35. So he's asking
Yeah.
for 15 foot? Is that correct? I just want to make sure.
It's 50 foot from the center of the road, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. So you're wanting to change that. You're asking for a 15-foot variance.
You won't
Right.
get 15
Right.
feet closer.
Instead of being 50, you want to be 35.
Yeah.
So you need a 15-foot variance.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's not coming off Poozy Ridge.
No, it'd
Right, it'll be
coming-
behind the house. The house faces Poozy Ridge, but the garage will actually be behind his house off of Turner Ridge, which is just a county road.
which would be facing the house. The garage doors would be facing toward the house.
All 3 doors will face toward the house, and
Mhm.
you'll use the current access road that you have.
Yeah, what I like, actually, probably where that gravel road is, about where the C on your, or no, where the D is, that would be the end of it. And I'd probably have like maybe a 10, 15-foot apron there that would go into the doors.
So behind the pool.
The corner of the building would kind of line up with the end of my house and then come up toward the road. Because once you get past that point, it really drops off fast. I mean, it would.
Yeah,
I'd
where your
have-
name is, it really gets.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it gets really, actually, that back drive there wouldn't be nothing there if I hadn't dug the basement out and pushed dirt there.
So
Because
the front of it will be facing the second, or the gravel driveway there, and that'll be the front.
it'd be facing that
Your
gravel
doors.
driveway. Mhm. Yeah.
So it's 125 feet from Poozy regardless.
Oh, yeah.
But it needs to get closer to the turn.
Yeah, that's what I need, is to be closer to Turner Ridge. The barn itself will be about 80 feet from the back of the house to the edge of it.
I don't think there's any issues with Turner Ridge Road getting widened or
I
nothing
don't
like that
think so.
anytime
Not
soon.
anytime soon, no.
And think so.
We have not had
And I
first
can
phone
think
call.
of a
No
grand
phone
total
calls,
of
no
about
nothing?
5 houses on that whole road. About right.
So,
Turner
Probably,
Ridge.
not sure, there's not too many out there.
There's not.
It's dead end road.
does anybody in the audience have any comments, questions concerning Mr. Rutherford's request for a variance, for or against at all? Anybody? So, does any of the board members have any further questions? We generally, we've kind of done a lot of stuff out there, everything kind of drops off down
Yeah,
through there,
There's a
so.
reason they call it Posey Ridge.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, we've seen this a bunch, so.
I didn't have to, knew where it was gonna be.
I have a property next to Danny.
Can you come to the podium and speak, please? State your name and address for me, please.
Gladys Borders, 1119 Kirksville Road.
All right,
Could you say that again, ma'am, because the lady got to do the minutes
You
on
gotta
it.
get you up there on that microphone a little bit.
Gladys Borders, 1119 Kirksville Road.
Okay, Ms. Porters, do you agree to give truthful and accurate information as it pertains to this case?
Yes.
All right, continue.
I have the property next to him, and I have no objections to him building.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Rutherford, you do understand that the closest part of your building, the overhang,
Okay, overhang.
is what would go on, not the foundation,
Okay,
the overhang.
okay,
Farthest projection.
Yeah.
okay.
So if you need a couple more feet, ask one.
I hadn't thought about that, but of course, on the end, I really did aim to have a couple of feet overhang, but can I change it then to 30 feet?
You want to change it,
So
you want to change it
you
to
want
20
you want a
foot?
20-foot variance.
Well, that'd be fine.
Yeah, I give it.
Yeah, that way it
5
won't,
foot.
that way it won't crowd me. I mean, I'm gonna hold it back as far as I can away from the road, because I really don't want it real close to the road, but I've got such a drop off so fast, I've got to deal with it from there, so,
But it'll turn it into 30 feet from the center line instead
Yeah.
of 35.
yeah. Yeah, that would be great.
So the paperwork, if the board approves it, will read that you have a 20-foot variance. It doesn't mean you need 20 feet from the center road. It means you can need 30 feet because the setback is 50.
Okay,
20-foot, varying 20 feet from
Yeah.
the 50.
that would be fine.
Does anybody else have any further questions, comments? If not, I'll open the floor for a motion.
Make a motion that we grant the conditional use permit for the property located at,
It's a variance.
a variance for the property located at 1410 Posey Ridge Road to allow a building to be erected 30 foot from the center line of Turner Ridge Road.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Wayne Pinkowski,
Yes?
Paul Melius,
Yes,
Howard Bowden,
Yes.
Jimmy Rogers,
Yes.
George Dillon.
Yes. All right, Mr. Rutherford.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
give me 3 extra feet, make sure.
Okay.
All right, next item on the agenda is conditional use, 940 Charlie Norris Road for Danny and Kathy Jo Thompson. Are you all in?
Yes, sir.
All right. Who wants to come up and speak? You first, anyway. We can form a line. State your name and address, please.
Kathy Thompson, 940 Charlie Norris Road.
All right, Ms. Thompson, do you agree to give truthful and accurate information as it pertains to your case?
Yes, I do.
All right, continue. What do you want to do?
Well, I went to a wedding in Red Lick and at a barn, and I have a awesome horse barn that we've used horses and cows and different things. And then I have a son that owns the front property, and he's getting married next year. So we would like to, I would like to take my horse barn and just remodel it and turn it into like venues for Fridays and Saturdays only, like weddings, birthdays, just not change the footprint of it, just use it for venues.
Which building is it up there?
No, pass over.
I live on 940 and it's across the street.
It's 927 right there.
Right. Yeah.
And I went out there today and just took some pictures. Had it on the outside and on the inside, well, from the door. Now, having said, I heard you say you're gonna remodel it. I've noticed it, because I noticed it was, you know, the doors were kind of hanging and stuff, so,
Those are from cows.
okay.
And so we were gonna go in there, and if you see the one in Red Lick, ours is like bigger, And so we were going to actually make it nicer. I've got a lot of hard wood over there. We were going to pour some concrete. You know, we were going to make it a little bit nicer than the one out in Red Lick. And put all the doors back, do some changes, and, you know.
That was my concern, is if you were gonna do remodeling, that's one thing. If you're just gonna try to do it the way it is, I don't think it would be something we would want to assemble people in.
We're going to take what it is and keep that ambiance, but make it better. That's what we're going to do. You know, do some mowing, put some fence back up. She's got some pictures. This is Debbie Heisel. She's the lady that's going to go in with me. And she's got some pictures of what we're thinking, what we'd like to do.
Can I speak?
You're welcome to pass those out to the board.
Yeah, state your name and address
Okay.
for me, please.
I'm Debbie Heisel, and I'm from Winchester, Kentucky.
All right, Ms. Heisel, do you give truthful and accurate information as pertains to this case?
Yes, I do.
Continue.
Yeah, what we are trying to do is, I like event planning, and the barn, I had been looking for a barn, and we're actually really good friends, and she has the 12-stall barn. We're going to concrete, what we wish to do is concrete the ground floor, put a balcony in it with steel rails. It'll be about 5,000 square feet. We would have a bathroom in there. We would have the parking in the front. The whole barn would have a total facelift, because that is going to, I mean, that's the first impression is huge for a wedding. There will be additional landscaping that will only add to it'll make it look a whole lot better. The parking will not, the traffic will come off the main road you have to turn off the main, what's that, Charlie Norris? Yeah, to get to her road, right? Yeah, okay.
I own the
Yeah.
property. I own the property, I own the road. I own the 2 trailers on one side. My son owns the front trailer. I own the barn. We've got about 12 acres over there on that side. And then I own 27 acres on the other side.
This right here looks significantly changed from the pictures.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
We're
yeah.
planning on, making it better.
And also, my husband is, which is here, he's did major construction all his life, and so has her husband. So we come very qualified as far as that. In reference to the noise, because I know that would be an issue if I lived around there, I would have those issues. We would have a 10 p.m. Cutoff for any kind of noise nuisance or anything like that. It'll be an alcohol-free. That is a big deal for us. There'll be no alcohol there. There'll be they can have wine or casual champagne just for the toast for the bride and groom. We will have no smoking near the barn. I've been in insurance all my life, so I'm all about risk management and how to properly insure and make places safe. So we'll have no smoking near there. There'll be a designated area. There'll be no open flames. The lighting will be, everything will be approved. The lighting outside will not look nothing like a Las Vegas. It's going to be enough to create an ambience and to keep safe so people can see to get to their car. But it's not going to light up the whole, you're not going to be able to sleep in your house because my lights are so bright.
I think we've done several of these in the past, and the whole purpose of that is from when the doors are closed and people are seeing it on the road, it still looks like a
Exactly.
traditional barn.
That's what we
and
want.
stuff. So the lighting should be kept minimal, and in all aspects, it's still a farm, it's still a barn.
Right, exactly. And that's what we want to create.
How many people would you expect to attend an event?
I would say we planned for, we haven't divvied off the parking, but we figured 50 vehicles maybe. So 150. We're going to have 5,000 square feet. We haven't done all those type of numbers, But usually a wedding of that type runs about there.
Where are you gonna put the parking?
The parking will be in front of the barn, so it will not bother, which is right there. In the back is because we back up to a house, or Kathy Jo backs up to a house, and there's a fence in front of his house, and we're going to put more bushes and stuff to help with this.
Hide the house.
Yeah, well, because And the sound and just,
And
you
stuff
know,
that blooms
yes,
for
yeah,
pictures, you
we're
know,
gonna be, yeah,
photogenic.
yeah, very photogenic.
You will confine the parking to the parking area, because that road is sort of narrow, and if you needed to get an emergency vehicle in there, and if you had 50 cars parked along the road, you'd
Absolutely.
have some difficulty.
No, we won't let them
No.
on the road.
And our signage will be just in front of the fence as you come in, will be put on the fence. It'll be professional, but it will not be no taller than the fence. And then any indications to getting to that wedding, we will make sure that that is removed within 24 hours of the wedding.
So are we talking about permanent signage, or are we talking about just a temporary sign? Like for the day of the wedding, turn here?
We can do whatever that's best. It does not, if it's only for that day, that's fine.
I want to thank the lady in Red Lake just had one in her yard, maybe, or on her fence, because we had to find it.
Mhm.
And she may
But
have
if
one
it's
in-
only for that day, we can, yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that wouldn't matter.
A lot of people do that themselves.
Yes.
They'll put wedding this way, and then they'll take it back up when they're finished.
I didn't quite understand that. You said that there would be no liquor, that you would not have a liquor license, et cetera, but for a wedding, if somebody wanted to bring in
No.
champagne for a toast or
Just for the toast
wine or
only.
something like that.
For the bride and groom only. No alcohol.
We go to church and we don't drink.
Well, I'm not gonna do alcohol with barn
I'm
anyway.
not passing judgment
Yeah.
one way or the other. I'm
No,
just saying though
no.
that you would not have a liquor
No,
license. You would
It's
not.
good.
There'll be no
It'll be in our
drinking,
contract.
Party, brawl
Gotcha.
type thing.
Nothing like that.
No.
They will sign a contract that states all that. And it will be, you know, the garbage will be put in a certain designated area. It will be removed immediately.
What about your anticipated hours of operation, like on a day of a wedding?
We would, depending on if it's an afternoon wedding or you know, it would depend if it's a noon wedding. Usually they're about 4:30. We would anticipate being out there by 10.
So the earliest would be 4:30?
The earliest of the wedding?
Yeah.
Well, they could actually ask me for 1. And then, you know, the Friday before you could have rehearsal unless they're getting married in a church and they're just coming there for the reception, because that happens too.
Is there anybody in the audience that wish to speak for or against Ms. Thompson's request? So have we had any calls or?
Someone come in and one phone call, both against. You realize that this is called a conditional permit, but they're going to, if they grant you this, you need to be thinking about the conditions that you need while somebody else is speaking. You know, the time you open, time you close.
I can do that.
Number of people, just be thinking about it.
Okay. Excuse me.
Step onto the podium there, sir. State your name and address for me, please.
My name is Robert Douglas. I live at 897 Charlie Norris Road.
All right,
Mr. Douglas, I need you to speak into the microphone there so we can get you on the record.
My name is Robert Douglas. I live at 897 Charlie Norris Road.
Okay, Mr. Douglas, do you agree to give truthful and accurate information?
Yes, I do.
Which one are you now?
Actually, I am to bottom right. You can see a pond to the bottom right. I'm just to the bottom right. I'm just to the right of that pond.
Down here where those trails go.
It's not on there.
It's getting ready.
It will be.
Oh, okay, good.
There you are.
It's 887, you're on back a little further, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Trying to keep the barn in there too. A little further.
You got me. You got me.
Are you in there?
Yes, sir.
Are you 887?
897.
897.
Where's your house?
It's covered by trees.
Covered by trees, all right.
Oh.
All
Are
right,
you
so
at the
where it
very,
ends
you're at
right
the
there.
very end of the road
Yeah,
here?
it doesn't have an address on it.
Oh, I
Yeah, so
see,
you're-
you're right there.
Yeah, that's right there.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
I also have some pictures I'd like to share with you that were taken this past week. That will give you an idea of the first impression that people will have as they're coming down the road. I would also like to point out,
Who is at 9:15 now?
Ethan Walden, of Waldman.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know whether they received a notice about being here tonight. That's basically in their front yard as far as the barn and
Anybody
property
that
goes.
touches it got a couple of notice.
That was Amos.
That was Amos's old property.
I'm trying to,
gentleman back here.
trying to get,
It's me.
Okay.
I'm trying to get it all together.
Because my husband wouldn't tell you that we were having a meeting.
I would like to point out there is a well-established special events establishment just down the road, down Walker Park Road, by some very professional people who have many years of experience running special events, such as weddings and conferences and business meetings and things of that nature. They have a 40-acre farm that is extremely scenic, well furnished, and just an eye popper when you arrive there.
Whose place is this?
That belongs to Jonathan Thompson. That is the eyesore that's been there for approximately 7 years in disrepair and open to the elements. That's the first thing you see as you come up
That's the first one on the left.
onto the to the rutted gravel road off of Charlie Norris Road. The people who own that particular establishment just down Walker Park are well versed in putting on special events. They've had this type of thing going on for many years, and they are actually a destination. If you look at some of the pictures, and regardless of what type of renovation we could be talking about here, a reasonable man would look at that and say, well, is this really a destination where I want to create a life memory, or create a memory that's going to be for my wedding type of thing, or whatever else they decide to put out in that particular barn. It's been run down and neglected for 15 years or more since the Thompsons have owned the property, and the only thing that's ever been in there has been cattle and some livestock, and major renovations would probably have to
Well,
take place just to bring it up to standards.
Okay. I'm missing your point. What, I know the building up here is an eyesore and the barn's maybe in disrepair. They're proposing to fix that up and make something
Okay, well,
feasible out of it. I'm trying to understand.
we've had a number of issues with the
Okay.
Thompsons over the years in regards to the tenants that they've put into the trailers, in regards to multiple cases of questionable tenants, noise, garbage that would lay out there and for weeks and weeks on end. This has been going on for many years, and I don't see how this can really detract from the track record that they've had in the past. We have another neighbor who lives approximately several hundred yards from this particular location that loves to throw parties for families and such, and they can be heard for a half a mile away as far as their disc jockeys, their live music, the radios that they like to play, and as far as the sound decibels go, sound travels very quickly and very easily in the country, to the point where even if you're inside with the windows closed, it's hard to carry on a conversation. So those are three of the major issues that we're concerned with. The road has not been maintained. It would require basically paving that road to bring it up to acceptable standards, to bring a party on their families and friends back to that area to say, well, we're proud to be here, and we but this isn't really the way we want to go.
Is this actually a named road, or is that
No,
somebody's
it's a
driveway?
Private drive.
So you all share the driveway?
It's our road, and they have the right to the easement.
Where's the property lines and all that? Can you turn on the parcel ID?
Now, you can't, it may not be correct.
Well, some of the names might have changed or might not have been updated. You get this information from PBA when
So
they.
you're down,
So he's here.
Douglas, you're right there.
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Douglas is-
So y'all share this driveway here and use this road together. And I guess the gentleman that lives back here
Correct.
also uses that thing.
This is an updated plot that I received from the PBA people this morning that may be more accurate.
Shows 927 right on the property line. Yeah, well, that's showing too.
So just to clarify for me, your biggest concerns are the noise and the condition of the property and it being kept up and so forth. Is
Well,
that-
it has been for a number of years, it's because it's been neglected for all these years. I don't see them, really changing the condition of the road or,
Well, and I completely understand that, and that may very well be the case, but if they don't, they're not gonna get any customers and their business is gonna fail. I mean,
Well,
So,
that's,
is
those
that
are
right?
those are the things that have been puzzling us because we always found that there was a backstory to what the Thompsons have been trying to accomplish whenever there's been property transfers and a few other things that have transpired in the past. We want to know what the real story is, if that is indeed the possibility of something else that they hope to gain by this variance or property rezoning
and I
or
understand
whatever.
that too.
Conditional use.
It's a conditional use, so it'll stay with the owner. So if they ever move or sell the property, this right here goes away.
Well, we're
and
concerned
then
about
these
the
guys
idea
here check-
of it being leased also to other parties, which may not be under those restrictions.
It can't be leased, it stays under the owners. And these guys here, they'll check on this once a year to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to and following the conditions of the conditional use if it was approved.
In addition to that, if, let's say, there's a time limit of 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, and there's activities after that, that's a nuisance, and
It's also a violation of the
Yeah,
permit.
And it's a violation of what
a
they're doing.
conditional permit would be
That is a
pulled.
county, that is a county ordinance, but it's not very well enforced.
But the conditional permit can be pulled at that
different
time.
when it's
It's
private.
different when you have a conditional permit.
Mr. Douglas, do you have any idea from, or you can probably do it on that, how does it crow fly from the barn to his residence?
How many feet?
From my house to the less than 100 yards.
I mean.
It's
they
more-
could- they
it's
could-
more 100 yards
they
from
could
the-
do the
from the
ground
house.
level.
I'd say it's about 1,000 feet.
1,000?
That's 300 yards, yeah.
There's no 500 yards.
718
300
feet.
yards.
So 718 feet.
718 feet.
2.5 football fields. There you go.
If I can hear my neighbor from a half a mile away, I can sure hear those folks right there, and I'm sure my other neighbors are concerned about the noise and my other concerns also.
Are there any other neighbors here?
Along the front property.
Can I answer some
Come
of
on
those
up.
questions?
Well, let them finish
All right.
talking, then you can.
Mr. Douglas, do you have anything else to say or want to say anything else? Or let somebody else speak?
I'll be glad to share the microphone with anyone else who'd like to step up here. I think my neighbors are entitled to
Okay.
their
Tell you what,
share
let me
of
hear
time.
from the other neighbors first. Who wants to speak first? I'll let you rebut at the end. So, state your name and address for me, please.
Ethan Waldman, 915 Charlie Norris.
What's your last name again?
Waldman,
Waldman? Mr. Waldman? do you-
Spell that, please.
WALDMANN.
Mr. Waldman, do you agree to give truthful and accurate information?
Yes.
All right, continue.
I'm actually the house behind the barn.
You're at 915 back there, right?
Yes. And my wife and I, we talked about it, and we have no issues with whatever they want to do with it. Our big concern, I guess our only issue would be that the noise, because he is absolutely right. The people down the road, ridiculous. Cinco de Mayo was terrible. That was the worst thing I've ever heard. And we have a 2-year-old at home. His bedroom is on that side. Hoping to have another one at some point. That one's bedroom will be on that side, and that's our only concern was if there's outdoor DJs, live bands, something. Like 10 o'clock is rough for an 8 o'clock bedtime. So beyond that, I mean, again, I don't know what your plans are for outdoor speakers. I don't know what any of that stuff is, but we like the barn how it is now. My wife's taking some really nice sunset pictures through it. She's real excited about that. I'm fine if they fix it up too. We're either way. No big issues there. It's just the sound would be the big thing.
Okay.
Beyond that, though.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to come forward? Name and address, please.
My name's Jonathan Thompson. I actually live at 940 Charlie North Road with my parents.
All right, Mr.
But I actually own the 921. It's not really a, is it the address yet? It is an address. It's actually the trailer in front of the barn.
All right, Mr. Thompson, do you agree to give truthful and accurate information?
Yes.
10 years.
Well, first thing, I just want to apologize to my neighbors. It's been a little bit for me to actually get going on that. But I plan on finishing that this year, but I don't have a problem with my parents doing that, especially since I'm the one wanting to use it to get married. There's just a lot of things going on, and but I don't have a problem with them doing it as far as
Now,
my
which
part.
house is yours again?
But it's actually the trailer, the eyesore
Okay.
up there in the front. But again, like I said, I apologize. I'm going to work on that. I do apologize for that, but yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Does Carmen still live on the other side there?
Yes, yes, he does.
Here.
Yes, he does. So, and thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Come forward, please. Yeah, state your name and address for me, please.
Mike Carmen, I'm at 911 Charlie Norris, which is...
The front now. Sorry, Mr. Carmen.
My major concern
Do you agree
is
to
the
give
use
truthful and
of
accurate
the...
information?
Yes, I do, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
My major concern is the road. Everybody's calling it a road, it's an easement.
It's a driveway that everybody shares, so it's a shared access to the
Well,
property.
on my deed, it's a deeded easement.
Right.
I don't know about the rest of the deeds and how they read, I know how mine read. And the lines are fairly accurate as to where they are there. My major concern is 50 automobiles, 100 trips up and down the easement. Maybe once on a Saturday, maybe once on a Saturday, once on a Sunday, or some evening. It's a huge amount of traffic. That's 50 cars pulling out on the Charlie North Road within how many feet of X number of driveways. It's a huge amount of traffic for a rural area. I mean, you know, you look at any other commercial venture, it's the zoning and so forth, there's certain requirements, so many feet of an intersection, so many, you know, when you're talking about entrance and exit, a highway. And that is a state highway, is my understanding. That is one of my major concerns there. And it's a situation where it's a driveway, as you say. I mean, it's one car. You can't pass on it. I pull into my house. I've got 50 cars backed up. The wedding's over. What do I do? Sit there and twiddle my thumbs, you know? And the neighbors too. And it's a huge amount of traffic. I mean, okay, 10 o'clock, they're finished by 11. I got 50 cars going down the road at 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
That's one of my major concerns.
It's understandable.
That's basically it. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
we appreciate it. Is anybody else? Anybody? Gonna come back, Ms. Thompson?
We actually bought this property in '99. And it's kind of been a battle ever since. The reason the road is like it is, and this gentleman here, I apologize to you, they are correct. They have an easement. The gentleman that subdivided all this years ago, he gave them all, I own the barn, I own the land, I own the road, and they have a right to use it. But not once. We used to maintain that road. We put gravel on that road. When we first bought this, if you'll scroll across the road to 940, you'll see a big old house right there. There's nobody no more particular than my husband. We built our house. Us and our family, we hired very few contractors, but we built almost every bit of that house. It's been appraised at almost $500,000. I've got 3 pieces of steel. My husband doesn't do junk. We tried our best when we bought this property to get along with the neighbors. We maintained the road, the house that, the White House that was attached to the barn that we sold. You can talk to Jeremy Oliver. We remodeled that house. We did more than what they asked. We tried to get them to help us maintain the road. Ask them how many times they put gravel on that road or how many times they've offered us money when we put gravel on that road. We bought it. My one son lived in one of the trailers. He put his wife through Eastern to go work at the hospital. My other son put his wife through school, living over there. So she's in pharmacy school now, graduates in a year. We bought the property to use it for the family. Yes, we did lease the barn out to a gentleman that had horses, his show horses. He painted the barn, he fixed it up, he took care of it, then he left. Then we rented it to a gentleman that works for the water company in Rockcastle. He had cows, show cows, big expensive cows, and they have just about destroyed the barn. Okay, so we have paid our taxes, took care of it. We put in a mini septic system in this barn. It has 2 wash bays for horses. When we rented it out to the horseman, we had to have our septic guy come and put us in a mini septic system because we kept getting called on because there was water in the land. We have been called on and everything they've done, we fixed it. We don't use it anymore. This gentleman here, when he bought, he asked us about the road, and I told him we were going to put gravel on the road. We were in the process of selling our dump truck and buying a dump trailer. That's why we haven't put gravel on the road. I apologize. Their ideal of fixing the road, they'll bring in a bucket with gravel, and they'll fix one spot, and they'll leave. They've never offered us any money. They've never tried to help. We don't use the road. Now, our tenants do. I have a CNA from Dr. Savoni's office. She's been there 3 years. That's who's in one of the trailers. And I have an elderly lady who is my daughter's mother, daughter-in-law's mom, who's on a fixed income. She's been there 3 years. Both the trailers were fixed. They have real windows, vinyl windows, because that's what my husband does. We have siding, we have metal roofs, we have oak cabinets, we have hardwood floors. We completely remodeled them so they would look as much like a home as possible. But it doesn't make any difference. I knew this was coming, and we really want to take this property and make it beautiful. I can't make any money if somebody goes over there right now. Jonathan, he's been 5 years getting into the police academy. He worked for the bus garage. He finally got in the police academy. He works for Berea Police. That is his home. He's getting married next year. That's what made us think about the barn when I went to the wedding. That's what the lady in Red Lick said she did. Her daughter got married, and everybody wanted to use it because evidently wedding venues are hard to get. And so we thought, well, we've got one getting married. Maybe we'll look into that. We're close to Charlie Norris. We're close to Union City. We're 5 miles from the bypass. They just blacktop our road. It's like a super highway out there. Yes, it is an easement. It is a driveway. But they use it more than I do. And there's never been a problem. Not that they would kick in any money to fix it. They haven't complained about that. We're just trying to take something we already own. I know when I went to Red Lick to that wedding, I stopped at Kroger and I spent $75 for gift cards and bags and cards. And I thought, well, that would bring in some revenue here. You know, we're close to the interstate. We're close to Lexington. I don't see a problem. If we don't fix it up and make it nice, nobody's going to come. So really, I mean, we couldn't use it the way it is. So a lot of their concerns are just because that's what we've put up with for the last 10 years. It's just the way it is. We're trying to make it better. From the outside, we're planning on keeping the music on the inside. I know when the weddings would probably, some of those would be outside. So there would be like a speaker for their vows or you know, if somebody sings a song, but we're not talking about dark. I'm not talking about, of course it gets dark in the winter, but I mean, the neighbors are talking about is a rental property. They just moved in, and it has. We hear it every night.
Let me ask you this: how many weddings do you anticipate having there?
We're only going to use
things are
it
all over the county. Some stuff. I mean, there's only so many people are going to get married, and so many people
Right.
are going to use these things.
Right.
There's a bunch of them out there. How many weddings is it going to be busy every weekend? 20 weekends a year?
Well, see, I don't know. We're only going to do Fridays and Saturdays. We're not going to do Sundays because we decided we're not going to do Sundays. We go to church and we're not going to do that. Like a milestone birthday, if you had a 40, but we're only going to do Fridays and Saturdays, and maybe, you know, in the summer when everybody's out. I don't even know that We both work. We have full-time jobs. Fridays and Saturdays is all we're looking at right now. That's all we're talking
So
about.
how many weekends, what are we talking about?
I mean, how would, I don't know, I mean, if they got booked.
Yeah,
I mean,
wintertime
most
probably wouldn't be much of
weddings
nothing.
aren't in the winter.
Probably only looking, what, 10 or 15 weekends a year at best?
Right, and I didn't know about the one on Walker Park. Hey, more power to them. You know, if they're doing good, maybe that's good for us, because right now, they're looking for a venue. They can't find anything earlier than a year and a half. That's how, you know. Yeah, Walker Park is, what, 2-3 miles, maybe 4 from us?
I know it doesn't matter, but which is the house you said is rented out where they make a lot of noise?
Well, and that's another thing I don't understand. If you would scroll past Mr. Rodas, there's a Settles drywall that moved in down there, and he has a big commercial building. He has his own helicopter, and he's in and out every night, and he's closer to Mr. Rodas than we are. And I don't hear anything about that. I don't even know how that came about.
Let's stay on topic.
Okay,
here.
all right.
I don't care about.
Well, I'm just trying to explain to you why we're here, why they're here. Well, basically, 52 weeks in a year, probably not much in the winter. 20, maybe 25, 30 weddings. I mean, I don't know. I would hope that we could.
You'd never have that many. They'd never be that busy.
I really don't know. This is something new to me. But it is a big thing now. Weddings are, you know, milestone
We've seen
birthdays.
this come up a lot.
Right.
And I don't know
I don't
how.
think from an enforcement standpoint, you're gonna be able to put a limit on the number of weekends they can use
Well,
it.
but I'm
Now,
just-
times and the volume, yeah, but we're not gonna know, we're not gonna be able to know.
Right.
And I wasn't looking at that, I was just looking at pure volume, how much is this
Sure.
gonna be disruptive to the neighbors?
I mean, really, you got
Realistic
3
about
months in
it.
the
Right.
summer, if you have a wedding every weekend.
Yeah, I'm,
do
you know,
12 weddings a year.
12 to 15
I understand
weddings a
you're
year
doing
would
it,
be
you want-
tops.
You want it to be successful, you
Sure,
want it to be
sure.
done. But realistically, people aren't
Right.
gonna get married in December in a barn.
Exactly.
So-
That's true. That is
I
true.
was thinking if you're going from May to October, May to September, instead of the number, the time, the
That's
May.
5 months, that's 20
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, so that's what.
I'd say that'd be a good year if you had 20 weddings.
I mean, we
But
can dump,
again, I
we
don't
can
think
dump
it's
gravel
about
on the
the number.
road if we
Come up
need
here and get
to.
behind her if you wanna talk.
We can dump gravel on the road if we need to and make it
It's
wider.
your road, right?
It is my road, yes, sir. It
Okay.
sure is.
They just have a right to drive on it to their property.
Yes. We can make it wider, we can haul in gravel, that's no problem.
My name is Bob Douglas. I'd like to say just a few more things.
Go ahead.
I'm curious whether there would be restrictions as to what types of special events would be out in this particular venue, whether it would go beyond the idea of weddings or graduations, any birthday parties, et cetera. You know, the list could be enormous. And of course, we have, I did not mention before that there is a dump behind the barn, which consists of the guttings, you know, they cleaned out the barn, they cleaned out the double wide trailer, and that's all dumped behind there. And there is a car or a truck that's been scavenged, and it's basically a junk car for many years. Now, I understand some of these things can be cleaned up here, but I just want to know what kind of restrictions we can put down to guarantee that we can't, this doesn't mushroom into many other types of activities.
It's actually a 40 Ford, a 40 model Ford we bought. You know, I don't know what, obviously we gotta clean it up.
Again, no, we don't care about that.
Yeah.
If you
I mean,
don't fix it
I'm
up,
just
you're
trying
not
to
gonna
answer
be
his
successful.
question. I don't
I mean,
know.
that's-
Right, to be
that's up to you.
successful, it's got to be. And
That's
one of
up
the
to you
first
guys.
things we said was, we would like to put a screen. He is probably the closest neighbor, him and Jonathan. So we would like to put up some really pretty trees or some kind of floral something that they could take pictures with. You know, again, I don't know, we can widen the road. As far as the traffic goes, we're not gonna park on the road. We've got plenty of land around the barn to make designated parking. We're not gonna be up at all hours. There's not, even if we have a birthday party, there's no drinking. We don't drink, we're not gonna have, it's not that kind of venue. We're not gonna have wild parties, we're not gonna have Cinco de Mayo, we're not gonna have the drinking and all that. It's not that kind of thing. You know, my leases on my property say, if you are loud and obnoxious and call the law, then you're evicted.
Okay.
So, you know, I just wanna make that clear. That's not what we're going for. We're going for an elegant, sophisticated, elegant type thing.
All right, all right. Does anybody have anything else? All right.
Ethan Waldman again. Just, you answered my questions, speakers inside. I'm fine with it. I mean, if they're gonna fix up the barn, make it look nice, I'm good. That's
Okay.
all I'm saying.
All right. Jimmy?
Will there be tents allowed to be erected outside?
You'll have to come to the mic if you want to be recognized.
Bob Douglas, a few more questions. Will there be tents and other types of semi-permanent or permanent facilities that could be added onto the barn, either on a temporary or permanent basis?
She's not asked to erect any tents or
Well-
only to use the barn, so just to
Well,
clarify.
I think we have to narrow the parameters here, just to make sure that, well, since it wasn't mentioned, we can do that. And of course, we're concerned about the idea of they say there's plumbing in there, but if you're talking about a fair-sized crowd, porta potties are another thing. Is that going to be there temporarily? Will they stay there for the month until the next wedding? Will they be coming in and out? Those are things that you have to use to accommodate large groups of people, and we're talking about potentially large groups of people.
That's something they would be looking at from a building code standpoint, is if they have the
Well, the
proper.
tents and stuff, now the porta potties, that's a fair question.
Mhm.
And that's something that you all can restrict the time that they're allowed to be there and the number
There's no
of.
porta potties.
We have to make arrangements for people to be able to use the
So
bathroom.
we're having real nice bedrooms, sorry, bathrooms and dressing areas.
So any of that would have to be approved by the health department for septic and that kind of thing, so. Doesn't sound like that would be an issue. Tents, depending on their size, have to be permitted and whatnot. And, they have a limited number of days they can be up to be considered a temporary structure. And so that would be handled through a building permit issue.
If any additions were made, they'd have to pull a permit, so we could deny that if we need to.
I'm just assuming whatever we do has to go through planning and zoning anyway, right? It has to be approved, and you see what we're gonna do, and then you okay it or don't okay it. That's what I.
Well, the board will set your conditions, and then we'll be the ones who enforce those conditions.
Okay.
Any further questions, comments? Come to the podium, please. State your name and address for me, please.
Don Rhodes, and I'm the old timer in the community.
All right, Mr. Rhodes, do you agree to give truthful and accurate information as pertains to this case?
Yes,
Continue.
I live off of Walker Park, joint in the back part of me, joining the Thompsons.
Are you 893?
Yes,
Okay, there, Bob.
and my house is right in there. I can see that barn. It looks further from my house to that barn in that picture, but I can hear a rooster crowing over there. And besides, the nuisance that we had with the trailers, they said they was going to have good tenants. We've had drug dealers.
Well, does that have anything to do with this?
Yes, because that just shows that it will not be up to what they said it's going to be. We've had drug dealers, we've had chicken fighters, we've had coon dogs in them 2 trailers. We have to hear it. I have to hear it. I live right close to them.
Was that even coming to the Board of Adjustment? They're doing that now. I mean, that has nothing to do with our case here.
But the noise factor would be my main objective.
Okay. I understand. Anybody else? One last time? Any board members have any questions? Comments? Anything? If not, I'll open the floor for a motion.
I would like to propose that we grant a conditional use permit for the property located at 929 Charlie Norris Road, Richmond, Kentucky, so that it may be used as a wedding barn venue. I would also propose that the following conditions be observed. Hours of operation will be from noon till 10 p.m. Friday and Saturdays only, with an additional half hour allowed for cleanup crews. Any additional lighting to the property will be shielded. At any time, the venue will not, at any time, the venue will have only a maximum of 150 people on site. No camping will be allowed on the property. No tents or other outside temporary shelters will be constructed on the property for venue. If porta potties are used, they will be used for a 3-day use only and be returned to their contractor. The limited access road will be maintained by Danny and Kathy Jo Thompson, and the venue will be in operation from May 1st through October 31st. In addition to that, signage will be limited to temporary signs on the roadway the day of the event, and one temporary sign 2 foot by 3 foot that would be located on the outside fence of the property.
All right, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Jimmy Rogers,
Yes.
Howard Bowden,
Yes.
Wayne Pinkowski,
Yes.
Paul Melius,
Nope.
George Dillon.
Yes. The request has been granted under those conditions. All right, the next item on the agenda is for a Jeff Cottle, 1761 Jacks Creek Road. You want to come to the podium, please? Very good.
Maybe.
State your name. State
My
your
name's Amanda Cash. I'm filling in for Mike Moore, who Mr. Cottle has hired us to.
You as attorney represent him?
Yes.
Okay. What was your name again?
Amanda Cash, with Simon's Forum Bowman.
All right, Ms. Cash.
Cash.
Ms. Cash, do you agree to give truthful and accurate information?
I do.
All right, continue.
Mr. Cottle owns one half Fast Customs, and he is a custom car restoration. He has taken a love of restoring cars and taken a hobby, and he would like to take that into a small business. And he would ask for a conditional use permit on the property that he currently owns on Jacks Creek Road. That it is technically within Steeplechase, but it is not within the subdivision. It is adjacent to, and the subdivision, he was basically grandfathered in.
1761.
Mr. Cottle owns the property, and it is only he and one employee. Everything would be by appointment only. It is very custom, very small volume, estimates probably only 8 to 10 vehicles at the most, all within his existing structure of his garage. And I'm happy to answer whatever questions, concerns that you have.
Could you clarify the last statement that you made? You said 8 to 10 vehicles in his garage?
No, I'm sorry. He would estimate only 8 to 10 vehicles per year
Okay.
as part of the customization. He only does restoration, no mechanics, at the most, and that's a great estimate, a high estimate.
So if somebody wanted to have the vehicle done, they would come to you and the vehicle would go in the garage right away? Or would it hang out on where those pickup trucks are, or where would it?
The pickup trucks, I think you're referring to the photographs. The pickup trucks are actually his. One of them was a customer's, and since it would be a by appointment only, and he normally only does basically one at a time, it would go immediately into the garage. And, you know, and then he books them out months in advance. As one finishes, he allows the next appointment to come in.
How large of an acre lot is that? Almost 2?
Almost 2. It's like, I don't know, 1.8, I think, or 1.6.
So is that the back, so that's somebody's driveway that comes in right beside the garage?
Right
Is that
behind
the
it,
front of
yes.
their house? So they don't have, their house doesn't front Jack Street, then doesn't look like that?
No, it's weird because they actually, the zoning said that they're supposed to have a driveway in the front, but for some reason they wouldn't let them have it, so it comes off the back, and then, you know, they have to go across actually the end of my lot.
So that actually services three separate parcels back there, right? There were
Yeah.
three separate owners back there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looked like you had a lot of, other vehicles on the property. It's kind of not shown in that picture, but
Yeah.
are those- you said those are customers or?
No, there's one kind of green truck is a customer's, but the other 2 are mine.
This picture was taken
Yeah,
a
it's-
year and a
it's,
half ago,
pretty
so
old.
this is not,
Yeah.
this is not live.
Right.
I was out there putting the sign up last Wednesday or Thursday, I guess. And looked like maybe you had a couple cars back there parked
Right.
alongside.
And actually, you know, the one truck had been sitting out front, and we moved it over and everything, so it was close to the shop.
It's actually kind of hard to see your building from Jacks Creek. I mean, you got
Oh,
to be
yeah,
looking
it's
over
'cause-
there, and
yeah.
if you're going by 55 miles an hour, everybody drives the speed limit.
'Cause it's down under the.
You're gonna miss it. You
Mhm.
know,
It's
if you're not
down under
paying
the hill. It's not really, like you said, you can't really see it from Jacks Creek. And as far as, you know, neighbor wise, you know, Eddie, he comes over about every day. Eddie Winkler does, and just like, hey, what's going on? And wants to kind of see what we're doing and kind of see, you know, as the stuff progresses that we're working on.
I got a question. Have you already started your business?
I've worked on vehicles there ever since I've owned the business, ever since I've owned the property.
He's just now, as far as the business goes, he's just now, as far as incorporating,
That's wonderful.
doing the LLC,
Okay,
and
okay.
it's been a hobby of his for quite a while, but he's finally realized.
So he's
that-
wanting to start.
But
Okay.
he actually, his full-time job is actually working at Toyota, and so this is mainly just this very small business side hobby that, but he wants to be able to have that protection with the business.
So this is just kind of a nights and weekends?
Yeah, usually it's just in the afternoons. Usually we get there, you know, around 4 or 5, and then maybe work till 10 through the week. And then every Tuesday or Wednesday, I have my little girls, so we don't work on that. And then very seldom do we actually work on the weekend. Usually it's just, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, about 4 days a week.
So, just, how many cars do you anticipate on doing a year? How long does it take?
No, that's just, that's the most. I mean, we done in the past, let's see, that was in October. Let's say the past 8-10 months, we've done 2. So,
So you don't necessarily have customers come to the house, they give you a car and they'll stay there in the garage for 2 months while you're working on it?
there's, like I said, there is a truck there that's a customer's sitting there by the shop. And like I said, as soon as the truck that we're done now gets finished, it'll go in the shop. There is times, you know, I do buy some stuff from out of state or around, you know, people behind their barn. Actually, those individuals that was here, they said they had that 40 truck. I may try to go see if I can buy it. But, you know, and then I buy them. They usually, like I said, they'll either sit on my trailer, and then I'll sell them pretty quick.
I guess, it's obviously a residential area and stuff. I guess one of the biggest concerns I would have is I don't want the place to look like a junkyard back there. You know, it's okay to work on a vehicle in your garage. That happens all the time. It's inside, it's shielded, no one sees it. But I don't want I think the concern would be the outside, what the outside appearance looks like. A lot of the purpose of doing kind of a home occupation or a home type of business is it doesn't change the characteristic of the neighborhood and
I
stuff.
think with
You know,
the low volume that he's able to do, since it's just him and one other person, would help with that too, and that there's not able to have that type of business at once in order to do that. So I think what he says is that he actually has a waiting list that says, you know, I'll probably be able to call you in, what you said, you have like a 4 or 5 month waiting list?
We're like probably at least 4 months out to get to the next vehicle. And like I said, there's 2 vehicles that is mine there that I'm actually planning on one of them to build a car hauler out of for the business, and then another one's just a Blazer. And then, like I said, the other truck is the customer's. And, you know, like I said, I've been doing it as a hobby for, let's see, I've been there since '09. So I've been doing it since then.
What kind of concerns have we had from the neighborhood?
Few phone calls.
Yeah, we've had a couple people call and just ask what they see the sign and we say call the office for more info, because there's not really anything on the sign. And when they call, we told them, they said, okay. Letters went to the neighbors.
I can't believe I lost the entire audience.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked about
Like I
that
said,
anyway.
I'm switching now.
My neighbors have never, like I said, I've been doing it for 7 years, and like I said, more than anything, they come over to see what's going on. You know, they'll stop and ask me, you know, hey, what's, you know, just to kind of, like I said, see how the.
Mr. Call,
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Call, what type of hazardous materials or flammables or painting are done in that facility or stored?
I mean, we do some spray painting and stuff like that. I mean, there's no brake cleaner, just.
You're not gonna paint a vehicle in that garage.
No, not.
It's not suited for that.
No, and that's the thing, you know, we was talking, if we did get our business license, to maybe, you know, go through planning and zoning and build another building next to it, so that we'd have actually more room for more storage, you know, but that way that if we did have something there, it
So
would
the
be.
painting is very limited, and you
Yeah.
get the car somewhere else and have it painted?
Right.
Or?
Yeah,
That's the plan, yeah.
just to clarify, you're not painting the car, he's just spray painting with
That's-
spray
yeah,
can, that kind of
That's
stuff. Yeah.
what I'm looking for.
I don't think you'd get a good quality paint job just painting in the garage there.
No.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, most of the stuff we're doing is what's called a rat rod. So they're really not, you know, real shiny at the moment. Because I mean, you know, we're just starting out. We don't have the money to build a $60,000 hot rod. You know, I mean, we really don't. And as far as that goes, like, you know, the rat rod stage, they're kind of on the rougher side, you know, but there's still high, you know, demand for them out there. I mean, as far as that goes, the trucker building that we got now, we've already got it sold for $15,000. So I mean,
Good.
we had one to go to Georgia that didn't even have a motor transmission. The guy drove from Georgia, picked it up, and gave us $6,000 for it.
So, again, my biggest concern is I don't want it to look like a junkyard there. I think that ruins the neighborhood and the characteristic of what the intent is.
Well, and that's
there.
where a lot of our complaints are generated from.
And stuff.
And actually, the property maintenance code addresses unlicensed,
Vehicle.
unregistered, inoperable, which if you're working on it and some of the conditions you described, it would fit that definition. So not only from a business standpoint, but from a property maintenance standpoint, that's where when we start getting complaints is when we get multiple vehicles around and on a piece of property that appear to be abandoned.
Right.
You might not say they're abandoned, but to the person driving by that looks at it, it looks abandoned. And that's when we start getting complaints.
But just out of curiosity, has there been any complaints?
No, we haven't, and that's what I'm saying, that's what we want to avoid.
Yeah.
Right.
I was gonna,
Just because you get, just
Yeah.
because
Oh,
you
yeah,
get
no, and
a,
like I said, and I know, you know, you don't want it to look like a junkyard or whatever. There is 3 vehicles sitting there now, and at the most, that'll probably be at 3 or maybe 4. And like I said, the 2 of those are mine.
Where do you have like a gravel, I don't see any gravel in there. Is
No,
there a
that's-
gravel parking area around there? I mean, you can actually just park them and they look neat, clean,
That's
organized,
actually-
whatever.
I actually called yesterday, our buddy that does excavating, and we'll see what it costs to have gravel come out, and then even get a quote to do a pad. If, you know, I did everything, my business license and stuff went through to maybe start looking at getting another building.
And have you thought about shielding the property with some trees or something?
I don't know. No, I never thought about it, but I mean, I don't know if they're allowed to have trees. Are we allowed to have trees out there? Well, I know, like, there's some of the stuff that was like, you can't have a fence, or you can't have trees or
I
something.
don't know what the deed
well,
restrictions
you might have
are.
some deed restrictions, but.
Yeah.
So it's kind of naturally shielded from the road anyway. I don't know about the neighbors behind you back there.
With the dip, and I believe that at least with the, if you look just the farm I think the farm is, that's directly across from it, is vacant. I think they're actually.
It's a humongous farm.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
it
21
goes
acres.
all the way to Whitehall State
And-
Shrine.
Yeah.
And
The
then
one
most
across-
of it showed, by his house as well, anything that would be impacted by that.
Well, this is the property that there are deed restrictions for a number of the places, but Lot 1 and Lot 12 don't have deed
Yeah.
restrictions?
Right.
But 2 through 11 do? I just had a question, why do they omit those two lots?
Well, one actually has a metal building already behind it. Lot 1 does, and I think in it says that your building is supposed to match your home. And then mine got grandfathered in. My house was built in 1969, and I think the subdivision started in the 80s.
You got the original property house, probably.
Yeah. I think that was the same as lot one.
So it pre-existing.
That's probably the developer's house, that's the reason he wrote himself out. I guess, too.
Yeah, like Congress.
So you're lot 1 and 2, not
I'm,
He's like 12.
yeah,
Lot
12.
12?
1, 12, and 13 are exempt.
okay. Yeah, it says right here. Okay, shall not apply to 1, 12, and 13. Okay. That's all right then.
Well, look, it looks as though if you've been doing this since '09, and the neighbors haven't complained, and they're not here tonight, it
You're
appears
not
as though
planning
the
on
neighbors,
expanding your
the
operation.
neighbors
Yeah.
don't have a problem with it.
Well, I mean, I don't think in the current capacity with the garage and the way it says, I mean, I don't think even if you wanted to, that you physically
Expand.
could expand.
Yeah, so we can only get
with the
one
amount of cars.
vehicle in the shop at a time. And then, like I said, if I do get my business license, that we was gonna look into building a second building next to it, so that way it'd be more storage, to keep stuff out of it.
Understand, the board can put restrictions on how many vehicles you can have outside. I mean, it's part of the
Yeah.
conditional use permit, they can.
How many do you anticipate having at one time? 2, 3, 4?
Well, like I said, there's 3 vehicles sitting outside right now, and 2 of those are mine. But the
To work on though?
to work on, oh no, just the one.
Just have one at a time?
I have
Not
one in
two-
the shop
Not
and-
2 sitting there, but
I have
2
one in the
just sitting
shop.
there, just having one, right?
Oh, to work on,
Yeah,
probably like one in the shop and maybe one outside.
okay.
You understand, if they grant you this conditional use, it doesn't give you carte blanche to be able to build another building, that's all, has to be looked at again.
Yeah, I know. Yes, yeah.
If he has on the building, would we have to come back here and get permission?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, you all can,
Probably for a dimensional variance.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had that one there, could we?
Or he's too close to the road or something.
Well, it'll be on this side. It'll be closer to.
What size?
It'll be the same 24 by 30. And actually, there's a shed there. If you zoom in next to my shop,
Yeah.
and we'd be probably moving the shed because it's one of the movable style sheds. And there's a shed up closer to my house, and probably just move it side by side. If that's
Are there any
possible.
building, are there any
Shades
building
right there.
construct,
Yeah.
any building restrictions coming off Old Jack's Creek Road? Is that even a road now? I
Well,
mean, is that a state, is that a
State.
county road?
it's definitely not state, I'm not
No.
sure.
Do they push snow on?
County road.
barely. And half of the roads like busted in to concrete, but other
The county did?
yeah, they did.
This kind of road.
It's gravel, isn't it?
No, it's kind of blacktop. It's,
Kind
but actually GPS calls it Kentucky River Road for some reason. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's on.
Must tie it in
They
somehow.
no, they swap it. If you look it up on GPS, it changes it to Old Kentucky Road or Kentucky, or Kentucky River Road. Changes the line.
Well, does that road go, like, if you turn to the left, it dead ends at that
It all dead
one
ends.
house, right?
It all dead ends.
Right there, right there.
Anybody else have any further questions or comments?
of, since the neighbors don't complain about it, we
Sorry,
start with them. What was it, I'm concerned about the vehicles. How many do you have there, that little lot there? At one time, who you worked on?
If there's no further comments, questions, I'll open the floor for a motion.
I propose that we grant a conditional use permit for the property located at 1761 Jacks Creek Road, Richmond, Kentucky, The conditional use permit will have the operating hours of 8 a.m. till 9 p.m. In addition, any additional lighting on the property will be shielded in a downward fashion to limit exposure out toward the road or to other neighbors. No outside storage of parts will be allowed on the premise. Only 3 vehicles can be on the property in queue for restoration at any time.
Do I hear a second?
Maybe go to 4 vehicles?
He's got 1 inside and 3.
We got a motion.
We got a motion. Oh, he's already said it. We have a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Okay, Jimmy Rogers,
Yes.
Howard Bowden.
Yes.
Paul Melius,
Yes?
Wayne Pinkowski.
Yes.
And George Dillon.
Yes.
Who seconded
Can I ask you another question?
3.
Are all these vehicles gonna be owned by other people and not?
Discussion's over. It's been approved.
Y'all can,
I'm
y'all
just
can
wondering,
do
for my own concern, I'm just.
that? Well, you have to ask him.
Yeah, I know you guys did this, I'm just wondering. I mean, I'm just, you know, if he buys the cars, then they're his, and he's fixing them all up. That's what I'm wondering, if he, and then he can still have customers coming in.
You can have
it.
3 vehicles.
I know, but I'm
Three
trying to.
vehicles outside, one
Outside. We're still in a learning
3
curve.
to
you
be,
know.
to be restored, right?
3 vehicles
'Cause I
outside.
have 2, my personal vehicles.
Personal vehicles are different. Your personal
As long as they're
driving.
licensed and stuff like that,
They're
your
licensed.
personal people, they don't
3
apply.
vehicles for
Licensed and
restoration.
registered.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This is fun.
Yeah, he can have 6 cars on the property.
I guess, new business that was going
That's
on.
what I was trying to wonder.
Any, okay, do we want to talk about this pipeline?
I would like to vaguely talk about it, if you don't mind. Last night, the planning commission voted unanimously to, I guess, present to the fiscal court the ordinance about repurposing a pipeline and compressor station, 2 separate things. And it all seems to fall to the Board of Adjustments. Everything is geared to what limits we can put on to the Board of Adjustments. It's our only avenue for the legal. So, you know, having said that, that doesn't mean that we can stop the pipeline, we can stop the compressor. It just means that they have to meet certain criteria that we can put on them. And we, you know, some compressor station has federal protection, they call it, well, preemptive, they can preempt anything you all do. You could tell them they can't do this, but federal, the FERC is called, and they can say, no, you can't tell them to do that. So, but on the pipeline, we can do other things.
They bought the property for their station.
Right. Yeah, so we got this situation going on Hackett and Peacock, so we're not, or through Peacock,
I feel as though
Hackett on Hackett.
I feel as though we're behind the power curve here. The first I heard of us being involved was on Facebook, I guess, when Reagan made that statement.
so-
Well, let me finish on it. And I was not aware about the meetings, the workshop meetings. I guess I could have made myself available before that, but I didn't realize that was going on. If that was going on, I would have gone to those workshop meetings because, you know, we're the ones who are going to be making the decisions. And at this stage of the game, I feel as though we're ill prepared to
So,
do that.
part of-
We need some training, and we need.
Part of that ordinance allows for the hiring of a consultant on behalf of, on your behalf, to research all this, to make sure that the company that's made application follows all the requirements that are spelled out in the ordinance. And that's the draft of it that you all have. Where they're drafting the actual ordinance that's going to go to the court in the next couple of days.
That applies to the pipeline, not to the
This
transfer.
applies to both. We've got
To both.
regulations on the pipeline itself,
Okay.
and then there's a whole separate regulation and ordinance concerning the compressor station.
As I understood
So,
it, though, that the consultant was not recommended necessarily for the
for the compressor station, because FERC is involved, and that's the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. FERC is involved, and they have the consultant that will require them to do those things on the compressor station. but there's no regulatory agency on the pipeline. So we have the ability to hire our own independent consultant at the expense of the company to come in and verify that what this company is telling us is true, and to verify that if they say it's going to be 55 decibels, that it is 55 decibels, and that's a good level. So to say that you're not trained up, yes, I agree with that, but you're going to have somebody that holds your hand and walk you through this.
Well, I guess in general, I would have felt a lot more comfortable last night if I had gone to those meetings so that I could understand, what was going on. Because apparently, all those questions were asked of Fitzgerald, and he answered them last night.
Yeah.
But if we could, on things like that, where we are going to be involved, if we could get advance notice to
And in my
go to
defense,
some of those.
I wasn't in on those meetings either. Those meetings were handled in a manner that they were trying to decide how they were going to proceed. They got the letter, they're trying to figure out how they want to go forward, and this is what they decided. And the conditional use route is because there's case law that says a zone change, and the zoning is what they call preemptive. And it's been shot down basically. To let the planning commission consider it only as a zone change in certain zones has been found to be improper. So by going the conditional use permit, like we heard two of them tonight, by going that route, you're not stopping them from doing it, but you are putting conditions on there, just like the hours of operation and anything that you can imagine. That's been found to not be preempted.
Yeah, this is gonna have to be really, really, really well thought out before it comes up.
Right, so when we get an application for something like that, before it even comes to you all, we'll be doing behind the scenes work, the legwork, hiring a consultant, making sure that the application that's been submitted addresses all those issues as they're laid out in that ordinance, and you'll see it's anything from noise to landscaping to dust control to runoff control to noise during construction. I mean,
Yeah, we're talking safety, we're talking environmental, we're
Very
talking a lot of
detailed.
issues.
Very
So
detailed.
from our standpoint, if this does, it may not even come up, but if it does come to us, it would then, I think, behoove all of us to get together for a lengthy work session, address our questions, get them written out, address the conditions that we think at that point in time with the consultant that we think we need, and then also put together the wording of what the conditional use permit may be like, so that we're not sitting, because on a night like this, you can sit here and take
Yeah, you're
notes.
not gonna
and
be
come
able to
up-
wing this and.
Yeah, you can come up with what it should be,
Well,
but
the-
something that complicated,
The
it
lawyer
would
that
be
was,
impossible.
that was putting all this together for us, Tom Fitzgerald, he would probably be involved in that,
I mean, last night, it looked like Paula had a prepared statement that she was, at least she had some notes.
She does her homework.
Yeah,
She sure does.
and I think that's, we need to be at that same level.
And there'll be some of that necessary with you all. It won't be something as simple as, what time's the waiting over.
Exactly.
It'll be much more detailed than that, but you'll have much more
How many
notice and much more opportunity to ask those questions
How many
on something
maintenance,
like that.
how many maintenance performances are they gonna do a year? How many blow-offs are they gonna have? What time are their blow-offs? What length are they? What type of emission controls are they gonna have on their blow-off? That's one segment on probably 300 questions that are out there. I took notes yesterday. I've got 7 pages of notes already, just from the meeting yesterday.
So,
If it does,
and it could be that we'll never have to deal with this.
Could
You know,
be.
some jurisdictions where they've enacted these restrictions and these regulations, the companies have just said, we're not dealing with that. That's too much to deal with. Let's go find a county that doesn't have planning and zoning and doesn't have regulations, and we'll put our compressor station there because it's much less passive. So,
And I don't think anybody is really opposed to a pipeline. We have tons of pipelines in our county, all over the county. What I think the opposition is that from a safety standpoint, a 70-year-old pipeline being repressurized, flowed in a different direction, just doesn't pass the sanity
everything you heard
test.
last night is a legitimate concern.
Yep.
And things that we can bring up and discuss and make them prove, put the burden on them to answer those questions.
And we'll have the support from Fiscal Court, Planning Commission, you know, they're gonna provide us with what we need. You know, we'll have legal counsel, you know, legal with us, and engineering. So we'll
Y'all
just
take,
be- it
take
won't
that,
just be
take that,
us.
those of you that weren't here, take that home, and read it, and we'll talk about it a little, more in-depth at the next meeting.
Speaking of training, anything coming up?
Not this year. No, we're
Not
off this year.
We're good then.
We're good.
Yeah, we're off.
You wanna adjourn?
Adjourned.
Yeah, we're adjourned.
Well, with
this.
That wedding thing,
Train-
that really
training?
caught me off guard. I figured that was gonna be,
The what now?
Just go through.
I figured the
You
wedding
thought it
one was the easy one
No,
because we did
I knew it was
that.
gonna be, the wedding was gonna be.
Well, I thought everybody was here for the garage.
No.
I did too.
Well, so I messed that up big time.
Yeah.
That might be one where if they do get